I still remember the day we moved into our new house on the outskirts of Greenwood, a quaint town known for its sprawling cemetery and rich folklore. My wife, Emily, and I had worked tirelessly to save up for our dream home, a charming Victorian-era house that stood just a stone's throw away from the cemetery. It was the perfect place to raise our 2 children, Sophie and Jack, or so we thought. The early days were filled with joy and laughter as we settled into our new life. The house was everything we had dreamed of, with its large windows that let in the morning sun, a spacious garden for the kids to play in, and an attic brimming with forgotten treasures from a bygone era. However, it wasn't long before the shadows of Greenwood Cemetery began to creep into our lives. It started with the whispers. At first, they were barely audible, a faint murmuring that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Emily dismissed it as the house settling, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Then came the footsteps, heavy, deliberate footsteps that echoed through the hallways at night, long after the children had gone to bed. I would lie awake, clutching the sheets, listening to the sound of someone or something moving through our home. One evening, as I was tucking Sophie into bed, she looked up at me with wide, fearful eyes. "Daddy," she whispered, "there's a woman who stands at my window at night. She has long, black hair and her eyes are hollow." I felt a chill run down my spine. "It's just your imagination, sweetie," I said, trying to reassure her. But deep down, I knew there was something more to her words. The next morning, I decided to investigate. I walked through the cemetery, my footsteps crunching on the gravel paths. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. As I wandered among the tombstones, I came across an old caretaker named Mr. Benson. He was a grizzled man with a face weathered by years of tending to the graves. "Morning," I greeted him. "Have you ever heard of a woman with long, black hair who appears at night?" Mr. Benson's eyes narrowed. "You're talking about the Ghoul," he muttered. "She preys on the living, especially those who live near the cemetery. Folks around here say she was once a grieving mother who lost her child and now roams the cemetery, luring the unsuspecting to their doom." I felt a knot form in my stomach. "How do we stop her?" I asked, desperation creeping into my voice. He shook his head. "You can't. Once she's chosen her prey, there's no escaping her." Days turned into weeks, and the presence of the Ghoul became more pronounced. Emily and I would find strange symbols etched into the walls, and the air in the house grew colder with each passing day. Our once happy home had turned into a place of dread and fear. The strange occurrences escalated. One night, as we sat down for dinner, all the windows in the dining room simultaneously shattered, sending shards of glass flying. The children screamed as the temperature plummeted, our breaths visible in the icy air. We huddled together, paralyzed by the invisible presence that filled the room. Emily started seeing shadows move in her peripheral vision, always just out of sight. She became convinced something was lurking in the attic, and one night, she worked up the courage to investigate. I followed her, flashlight in hand. As we climbed the creaky stairs, a foul stench filled the air, like rotting meat. The attic door swung open on its own, revealing a scene of horror. Dead animals, arranged in grotesque patterns, covered the floor, and a single message was scrawled on the wall in what looked like blood. "She is here." One night, I woke to the sound of Jack's cries. I rushed to his room, only to find the Ghoul standing over his crib, her hollow eyes locked onto mine. Her mouth twisted into a grotesque smile as she reached out with skeletal fingers. I lunged forward, but she vanished into thin air, leaving only a lingering sense of dread. Desperation set in. I contacted a local historian, hoping to uncover more about the Ghoul's past. He revealed that the Ghoul was a woman named Eleanor, who had been accused of witchcraft in the 1800s. She was driven mad by the loss of her child and executed in the cemetery. Her vengeful spirit was said to roam the grounds, feeding off the fear of the living. Emily and I decided to leave Greenwood, but it was too late. The ghoul had already sunk her claws into our family. Sophie and Jack grew pale and sickly, haunted by nightmares that left them screaming in the dead of night. Emily became distant, her eyes hollow and devoid of the spark that once defined her. In a final act of desperation, I sought the help of a local priest. He performed a cleansing ritual, but it was no use. The ghoul was a force beyond our understanding, a malevolent entity that thrived on our fear and suffering. We moved away, but the ghoul followed. No matter where we went, the whispers and footsteps persisted. Our family was broken, our lives irrevocably changed by the ghoul of Greenwood Cemetery. Now, as I sit alone in a dingy motel room, I can't help but wonder if there was something we could have done differently. But the truth is, once the ghoul set her sights on us, we were doomed from the start. She had spoiled our lives, turning our dreams into a never-ending nightmare. And so, I write this as a warning to anyone who might come across our story. Beware the ghoul, for she is always watching, always waiting. And once she chooses you, there is no escape. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also hit that bell icon if you want to get notified as soon as we upload a new video.